Che here, the No Spoon Podcast. Thank you for checking out my channel. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe and turn on your post notifications so that you don't miss out on the latest content. Also, like and share with as many people as possible. And if you got an opinion or something that you just want to add to the conversation, I want to hear about it down in the comments section. Until then, enjoy the video. What's up, everybody? My name is Che, and I am the host of the No Spoon Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us and checking out this video. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and do so right now. Also, hit that like button and share this with as many people as possible. I know it's been a minute since I've dropped a video. Um, been just trying to take care of some things, get ready for this new year. We got a lot of things going on, so I'm ready to get going. I want to get into this video real quick because I know we've been waiting. I put out I did a live on Instagram yesterday. I got a whole lot of new followers on there, and I wanted to kind of preface what this was about. Just recently, Marc Lamont Hill, most of you know who he is. He's a professor. He used to be on the Black News Channel, which was now been disbanded, but he did an interview with Curtis Scoon on Scoon TV. Now, most of you know I'm a contributor to Scoon TV. I do a lot of articles on there. I've done podcasts on there on the past. So, Scoon is a friend of mine. So I'm not shying away from that. But he did an interview with Scoon TV. It was really interesting. The thing is, in order for you to watch the whole interview, you got to subscribe and go. So I'm going to put a link in the description box that's going to send you there, and become a paid subscriber. There's a lot of good material on there. My material is on there. You can find a lot of good things. You can watch this whole interview with Marc Lamont Hill. There was a lot of fireworks. You're not going to be disappointed. But one of the things about Marc Lamont Hill is that he's infamous or famous, however you want to look at it, for making the statement when he was doing the interview with Candace Owens and saying that he believed that men could get pregnant. I want to kind of break that down a little bit because I want to say that he is mischaracterized. That whole statement about men getting pregnant, it has been mischaracterized. It has. And I think we have to be fair, right? A lot of people just run with that. They make jokes about it. They make memes about it. They make a lot of different videos on it. It makes good for clickbait and whatnot, but it is not really representing what he's saying. However, what he's saying still doesn't make sense. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go over some of the things that he said with the Candace Owens interview, which is similar to what he said in the Curtis Scoon interview. And you can watch that, like I said, by subscribing to the Scoon TV. Become a paid subscriber there. You can see the interview and plus with a lot of other content there. And before you do that, subscribe to this channel, the No Spoon Podcast. I'm putting stuff out all the time. I know I took a little break for a few weeks, but we back on it. Anyways, let me play this first clip. This is the first clip that everybody knows. Marc Lamont Hill on Candace Owens, and I'll pull that up right now.
So to acknowledge a social construct does not mean that we ignore biology, and it doesn't mean that we don't have.
Can men get pregnant?
Depends. I know.
What does it depend on?
I know trans men that can get pregnant.
That means it's a woman. Only one sex can get
That's
pregnant.
a circular argument. That's
it's not a
begging the
circular
question.
argument.
Yeah.
It's proving my thing. There is a truth, a concrete truth. You have to be born with a uterus to have a baby. Only women can get pregnant. The fact that we've arrived in a society where
Right, and that's the part I'm disagreeing with. That's the part I'm disagreeing
There's
with.
nothing to disagree with it. These are facts. So you can say that this person who is pregnant identifies as a man. That person was born a woman. I can tell you that every single time because only women can have sex because there are concrete truths about life.
Have babies.
Can have babies, pardon. And that is a hard truth about life. You cannot make that go away because you want to call a man, somebody who has a beard and dresses like a dude, a woman. Only if it's pregnant, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's a woman.
That's the main thing went viral. Everybody was talking about it. Marc Lamont Hill said, depends. I know trans men that can. That's the main. So the main thing, and he even clarifies it in an interview with Scoon, that he's not saying that a biological female, somebody that's born with a uterus, a biological male, somebody that's born with a penis and testicles and can get pregnant. That's not what he's saying. Right? What he's saying is that a biological female, uterus, vagina, ovaries, all that stuff, right, can identify as a man, have sex with a biological male, become pregnant, and have babies. And in a sense, because we've changed the definition of what is a man and what is a woman to be this kind of fluid, nebulous, not definitive type of identity, that yes, a person identifying as a man can get pregnant, right? He started talking about a social construct. Now, that's the main thing. So he's not saying that somebody like myself, who is a biological male, I was born a male, I was born with male sex characteristics and sex organs, that I can get pregnant. That's not what he's saying. So a lot of times we make these memes and we see a lot of these things and we see a lot of these videos on YouTube and stuff, and they're making fun of Marc Lamont Hill, who said men can get pregnant. He did say that, but the definition of what a man is different from the definition that we have known what a man is all our whole lives. Like, a man is a male. It's somebody who has male sex characteristics and sex organs and can grow a beard like mine and has a deeper voice like mine and is stronger than a female, right? Um, he's not saying that those people can get pregnant. What he's saying is that a biological female can identify as a man, and then they themselves can be pregnant. Now, here's the thing. In academia, this is where this all started, whereas saying that there's a difference between biological sex and gender, that those two things were distinct of each other, that biological sex is defined by biology, by physical reality. Like I said, your chromosomes, the XXXY chromosomes, defines whether you're male or female. The sex organs, whether you have ovaries, whether you have a testicles, whether you have the penis, whether you have vagina, uterus, all these different things. These are concrete things that are in the individual that defines what their sex is, male or female. Those things cannot be disputed, right? Or shouldn't be disputed according to his theory here. However, what he's saying is that gender is something that is a social construct, right? And what that means is that society in itself, that we have decided that a man is a certain thing, right? That a man behaves in a certain way, has certain characteristics, has certain mannerisms, has a certain way about them that we can define from a woman. That a woman has characteristics, mannerisms, their way of their roles in society. That all these things are just constructed by society, that we've agreed that this is how what a man is and this is how a woman is. However, what science is saying now is that that's not necessarily something that we can just hang our hats on. Like, just because a person is born a male doesn't mean that they cannot have female traits, characteristics, mannerisms, way of talking, all these type of things, right? So this is what he's saying, is that those things are fluid, that anybody can identify as either or, depending on a subjective feeling. And that's what it's basically all about, is the subjective feeling, how you feel inside. I might be able to grow a beard. I might have male sex characteristics and sex organs. But if I feel subjectively inside of my mind that I'm a woman, and I can identify as a woman, and therefore I am a woman, right? This is what they're arguing here. I'm gonna play this next clip here because he says something that's interesting, and I kind of it kind of goes hand in hand, right? The other thing that comes in is, what is another social construct, right? Another social construct is race. Race is a social construct, right? I'm gonna let him explain it, then I'm gonna get into that, and I'm gonna kind of tie both of them together.
Let's go back to the social construct thing, because then it'll answer the thing you just said. I'm not ignoring what you just said. I want to tie it together. So the idea of my point was that a social construct doesn't ignore physical realities, right? The social construct is about how we as a society make sense of those physical realities, right? So, for example, you said we're black, sure, right? I'm trying to think of you pick a light-skinned black person, right? They're black, right? We'd agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go to the Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the PR. Let's go to Puerto Rico. Let's go to Jordan. Let's go to Iraq. Let's go to Sudan. Let's go to Ghana, right? And let's go to South Africa. I'm picking these places very specifically because they have different racial logics and racial paradigms. And what it means to be black here, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a universal blackness. right? That if in Dominican there might be 5 different other racial categories, right? And there are some light skinned black folk here who, when they go to Ghana, get basically seen as white, right? Because of how we socially construct it. Doesn't mean my biology changed. Doesn't mean my physical reality changed, but how society engages this stuff is what makes it a social construct.
So that's interesting. He uses race, right? Race is it's like he said, um, a black person in the United States can be different from a black person in Puerto Rico. A white person in Norway can be different from a white person in Australia, right? These are what we define as being these racial things are a social construct. Um, there are some biological truths there, right? Race can differ based on skin complexion, facial features, uh, hair texture. All these things change based on different races, right? Language is another thing, but language can be taught. Mannerisms to be taught. Culture can be taught. These are not something that is concrete, right? So we have a certain way, like here in America, we talk about people that there's a black culture, there's white culture, there's Hispanic culture, or whatever you want to have, Asian culture or whatnot, whatever you want to look at that as. Different music, language, the way they talk, their mannerisms, their interests, their disinterest, all these different things kind of tie in together. But they're not like concrete with those things. I mean, in other words, you can take a white person and put them in an all black environment, and they grew up in an all black environment, and they grew up around nothing but black people in nothing but a black environment, and they will take on the characteristics of the other black people there. And we'll look at that, and another white person can come along and see that white person that said he's acting black. That's because there is nothing within their biological makeup that says that they have to act a certain way, right? There's nothing within the biological makeup of a Hispanic person here in LA. Well, I'll give you an example. Hispanics in LA act different than Hispanics in the Bay Area, right? Here in California, right? This is two different ways of just their whole culture is different. Biologically, they're the same, but they're in different cultural makeups. Like they have a different way of vernacular, way of talking, mannerisms, everything is different, right? So culture is not necessarily like linked permanently to your biological makeup as far as race. What he fails to understand is he tries to put gender in that same category and say that gender, just like a man, a black person growing up around all white people, will then act like the white person or can act like the white person or take on those characteristics that because and identify, almost identify with. Let's give you an example, like here in California prisons, like or in California gang culture and stuff. You got white bloods and white Crips. Everything about them, the way that they act, the way that they talk, everything is the same as black bloods and black Crips, right? You have white uh Southsiders, Mexican gang members, right? Sureños, what they call them. They act just like the other Sureños, they're just their different race. That's because there's nothing that's tied to it. He tries to equate gender with that. Here's the difference though. Gender gender is something completely different because gender our gender constructs are a product of our biological makeup, meaning why race can be so kind of fluid in that sense and how that in the construct, right, is because there is really no difference biologically, save for a few the things that I mentioned earlier, such as facial features, skin pigmentation, hair texture and whatnot. There's not a lot of things biologically that is different between races: black, white, Hispanic, Asian. Yes, there are some different characteristics, but for the most part, in generalities, we are the same. Gender is very different. Male and female are very different from each other. In fact, a biological black female has more in common biologically with a white female than she does with a black male. A white female has more in common biologically with a Hispanic female than she does with a white male. Like race is not so much binding as gender is, because there's so much difference when it comes to gender. So when we look at gender roles and we look at what the concept of gender is, we're acting as if gender just somehow just appeared out of somebody's mind. And what they try to make it seem like the patriarchy and man just decided, woman, you stay home and take care of the kids. We're going to go out there and be the breadwinners. That's inaccurate. That's not true at all. That's not what took place. These roles and this division of labor is actually a product of our biological makeup. Women are more nurturing, therefore they stay home with the kids and raise children. They're more likely to want to do housework than men are. Men are bigger, stronger, they have more aggression, more testosterone. They want to go out there and become warriors. They want to go out there and fight. They want to go out there. This is why men make up most of the violent crimes. This is why men make up most of the hard labor jobs. This is why women do jobs like being nurses, being caregivers, being school teachers. Right? This is what this is not something that we just decided as a society one day. We just woke up and said, women over there, men over here. And that's a social construct that we all just decided to we're all just going to embrace whether you like it or not. No, that's not how it took place. Naturally, these things formed. If you go back to like primitive times, right? It was understood. Man's bigger, stronger, more aggressive. Therefore, he's going to defend the tribe if they're being attacked. He's going to go out there and hunt the wild animals. Women, they're more nurturing. They can take care of the kids. They can make food. They can take care of the home. They were the first agriculturists. Which is a more aggressive style of what's the word? Harvesting the means of subsistence or whatnot. They would plant crops. Women would do like they were more inclined to do this. Like, let's not sit here and act like these things just took place out of nowhere. That's where the whole gender theory kind of falls off here. What they're saying is like, oh, it's just a social construct. Yes, but this social construct is arrived due to our biological makeup, right? So I understand what he's trying to say, but it falls flat because it just ignores that reality. That reality that men are different. Men and women think differently. We act differently. We approach things differently. We have different things that suits our strengths, different things that we're better at than women, and women are better at than we are. It's not to say that one is above the other. It's to say that we are different. And so when you start to conflate these things and start to say that somebody who is biologically born a female now can be a male, they cannot fill that role in the same way that the man can. And vice versa. A man can't fill the role that the woman can. And now we have this breakdown in society. And what these things all lead to, and I've been stressing this over and over again, I don't care what a person decides to do, right? Me personally, if you want to feel like you're a puppy dog, go ahead and be a puppy dog. But you can't expect the rest of the world to then act the same way. And reality is eventually, and logic is eventually going to catch up with you. You can feel like you can fly. That's great. I love it. If you like it, I love it. Go ahead and feel like you can fly. But I guarantee you, once you get up there on that third and fourth story and you think that you can jump off there, reality is going to hit you in the face, literally. This is the part that we have to come to grips with. And this is the dangerous part with this ideology, is that what we're doing is we're subverting logic. Right? I've said this before. Here's the example. We're starting to breed a generation that we take subjective feelings and we hold them in higher authority than what is objective reality. Right? Objective reality. When we have a man, a biological man, strong, same bone density, muscle mass, fast twitch muscle fibers, all these different things, and they want to go fight a biological female who cannot compete on the same level. And you wonder why her face gets destroyed. I don't care what they think. Objective reality is going to trump subjective feelings. Your subjective feelings can say I can fly, but objective reality is when you jump off the bridge and you fall flat on your face. And what we're doing is that we're teaching the next generation that no. It goes deeper than just gender, right? It goes just deeper than men playing in women's sports and people trying to act like or asking for people to respect their pronouns. It's deeper than that. Because what ends up happening is that we short circuit the logical aspect of our brain. If I have to take a young child, if you have a young child, 5, 6 years old, he's walking down the street. You're walking with him. A man who looks like me with a beard, and he's wearing a dress. And that little boy says, hey, why is that man wearing a dress? According to this gender theory, I have to say, that's not a man. That's a woman. He's going to ask me why. Why is he a woman? He looks like a man. He has the same characteristics that every other man has. Why is he now a woman? Well, because inside, he feels like a woman. So we have to then say that his subjective feelings override objective reality. What that does in that child is it gives him that understanding that, look, what's more important is subjective feelings. Now you translate that into other areas of their life, other areas where they start to make you feel bad for doing certain things. We're going to collect taxes and we're going to empower ourselves because we are going to help the poor. You don't want to be a racist. You don't want to be a bigot. You don't want to be homophobic if you don't accept these strategies. Climate change, it's real. And if you don't accept that it's going to take $93 trillion to do this, to solve this problem of climate change, then you don't care about the environment. You're a bigot. You're a racist. All these different things that people throw at us, and you see it happen all the time. And now you start to say, well, man, I don't want to be that, even though that's subjective. Objective reality says something different. This is what happens. We start to short circuit our logical reasoning. Short-circuiting logical reasoning makes for emotional people and people that now want to live and make base decisions on people's subjective feelings instead of objective reality. It's dangerous. It is. It's the recipe for tyranny. It's a recipe for oppression. It's a recipe for people to dominate other people. And we see that happening today. We see that happening in politics. We see that happening in culture, where people are using these subjective issues and they're giving those precedents over objective reality. And what it eventually does is it empowers a certain group of people, a smaller group of people, that we're able to wield that power over everybody else. And they're holding you hostage through your emotions. That's what's going on. So I hear what he's saying. I wanted to clarify that because I think it's only right that we hold things to be true. What he said has been mischaracterized throughout the internet and all on social media. So I think it's important that we're able to have these conversations and to talk about what he really meant by saying men can get pregnant. However, it still doesn't take away from what the long-term effects can be of this. And even that whole ideology of gender theory and social constructs and whatnot, it just doesn't hold weight. It just ignores something. It ignores something major that we have to be able to talk about. So I encourage you guys to go ahead and go to Scoon TV, become a paid subscriber so you can see the whole video. If not, I mean, you know, you can still find a lot of good stuff on there. You can still find a lot of good stuff by following me, subscribing to this channel, the No Spoon Podcast here on YouTube. I'm putting out a lot of good content, especially in this new year. We got a lot of things going on. I got some things in the works, man. I got some things in the works. I didn't stay away. I was only away for a few weeks, so it's not like I was gone for a minute. It's just for a few weeks, trying to tie some loose ends, get some things together. But we're gonna be back on it, putting out a video every week. I got some other ideas that are going to be popping off. So go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like this, share it with as many people. If you got an opinion on this, maybe you disagree with what I'm saying, go ahead and leave a comment and we can discuss it further. Maybe I'll make another video on it. I don't know. But until then, thank you for watching. My name is Che. This is the No Spoon Podcast.